I need to re-listen to Brat. Um, I need to re-listen to Brat. It got a really good rating, and I want to like give it another try. Like it's fine. Like I thought it was fine, but like yeah. Oh yeah. Hey, I'll run. Yeah. Like give me a second.
Unapologetic when we fuck up.
Oh, she's a really good artist. I mean, like not artist, but like a TikToker. Like she's really good at TikTok.
The night, got the night. We getting fucked up tonight. Night, 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 night. Last Friday night, yeah, we dance on tabletops. Unapologetic when we.
Dude, there's this. You know what's fucked up is that this one like TikTok rapper that I used to like was like, should I drop it, chat? And it was like last Friday night, but it was on a trap beat, and it was so good. And he never dropped it. Literally never dropped it. Um, I feel like I'm being gaslit on Brat being 10. I feel like I'm being gaslit too. But like here's the thing, and this is the only thing about Brat that I'll give Charlie credit for. Um, there were certain albums that I was wrong about. When I was like growing up, because Charlie XCX's music is like kind of like outside of like the normal type of music that I listen to. It could be that like I'm just like not like I'm not woke enough or something. Like you know what I'm saying? Like this could be a situation where I'm wrong. And so I want to give it another listen to like just give it another fair chance. It definitely deserves. It's a good enough album that you can listen to it like that. You can listen to it like multiple times. It's not, it's not a bad album at all. But like people saying that it's like the ratings that it like officially got from like multiple critics was like 9.4, 9.6, 9.8. And so like and I definitely wouldn't have given it that. I would have given it maybe like a 7, 7.2. So like I want to know what everybody sees in it. Like because like it's possible that I'm just not like it's possible that I'm just not there. Like I'm not woke enough. I love PC music, and still don't like Brat. I feel like when the Taylor album dropped, no, I don't feel like that at all. When the Taylor album dropped, it was bad. I don't think that Brat is bad. I think that like there's definitely a difference between the two. No 9.5 is a crack cocaine rating. That's how I feel. I feel like it's a oh if you're saying that like it's a Taylor Swift ass rating, then yeah, no 100%. It's like a rating that like you especially you wouldn't expect for Charlie XCX. Like I don't know what's going on. So maybe we should listen to Needle Drops review. Listen to Fantano, Melon, Baldy, Shaved Nandre, like explain it because like I don't know what's going on.
One, two, three. Hi everyone, Brathany Green Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review.
Like maybe like not to be okay, not the Kanye post, but like when The Life of Pablo dropped, I remember like being like this album isn't that good, and then like a week later it like hit me, and I was like, oh my god, this thing is perfect. And like it's possible that Brat does that to me, is what I'm saying. It's possible that Brat does that. Actually, let me set a marker. Brat review.
Review of this new record Brat from Charlie XCX. Here we have the 6th official full-length studio album from pop singer and songwriter Miss Charlie XCX. One of my most
Also she's Daisy, so I wanna like support her just like from that level. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yesterday I was hanging out with this Persian girl in my class. She showed me a song on Spotify my dad sang to me when I was a kid. I started that song so I have trauma. Dude, fuck you. I'm tired of the people who like had parents that sang to them as a kid. Do you know what my parents did as a kid? Nothing. They didn't do that. They didn't sing to me. They didn't like play the guitar for me. I didn't have like my parents like taught me math. That's all my parents knew how to do. They were nerds, bro.
Anticipated albums of the year. Why? Well, over the past decade.
Do you know how my dad taught me math? This is so up also. Like I'm gonna like traumatize y'all like from the background. This is how my dad taught me math. My dad was like, I'm literally an engineer. How the fuck do you not know math? That's how he taught me math. He never sat down and was like explained like the stuff to me at all. He just told me that because he was an engineer, I should just get it. Like I should just know it because he was an engineer when I was born. Like brain power was like transmitted like through nut. Like crazy.
In my eyes, Charlie has grown into one of the most creative, unique, and pioneering forces in
Okay, let me do a marker on that. Let me do a slash marker. Engineer dad. Like, literally, so crazy.
Current day pop music, and her evolution has been interesting to watch, to say the least. I'm not a fan of her early work, truth be told.
At least your parents knew enough math to teach you. They never taught me any math. Like, by the time I got to the level of math in which my dad like could help me, like, but like with calculus or like something like that, by that time, like his only answer was Google it. His only answer was like just go to YouTube. By the time I got to the level of math in which my dad would genuinely help me, like again, like multidimensional calculus, at that point in time, he was like, just go to YouTube.
But today it serves as an interesting reference point for what she's doing on this record. The true romance and sucker eras of her career did bring some of her biggest hits and features to date, that is true, but sonically much of the music she was dropping around this time wasn't very daring or even deep. At best, you could say it was catchy and of the time. Around the mid-20s.
See, this is why people hate Fantano, bro. Charlie's music is good, and first of all, it's like definitely for the gays, and calling it reductive is like, it's totally like missing the point. Oh yeah, can refresh. No, Charles, I'm gonna replay what like Fantano said, but like I don't think he gave he definitely didn't give Iconopop like or I Love It, sorry, the credit that it deserved. Like he's on Charlie XCX.
But sonically, much of the music she was dropping around this time wasn't very daring or even deep. At best, you could say it was catchy and of the time. Around the mid-2010s, though, is when Charlie's music really began to push boundaries, crossing over creatively with writers and producers from the up-and-coming PC music label. I'm talking people like Danielle Harl and Easy Fun, A.G. Cook, and the late Sophie, who at the time were gaining quite the reputation for revitalizing a lot of Y2K era pop aesthetics, but with a hyper-futuristic, jittery sound. And our first taste of this new direction came in the form of Charlie XCX's Vroom.
Okay, I think this is better. I think this is better for my... I'm trying to fucking make my noise gate better. Either way, I think this sounds better anyways.
Vroom EP in 2016, which some critics just did not know what to make of at the time. And while it was my EP of the year...
Charlie's music is good, but she's carried heavily by her producers, IMO. I don't know if I agree with that. I feel like Charlie... Doesn't Charlie, like, super produce her own shit? Like, she has producers, but I thought she was doing, like, the main producing.
That year, I could still see how this would have turned a lot of people off if they came into Charlie's music having certain expectations.
I don't know. I don't know much about like Charlie. It sounds dull rather than suppressed. Your audio, damn, owned.
Given that she was a pop artist, because Vroom Vroom in tone is at points kind of dark.
I need to figure it out. I need to figure out what's going on with the audio.
And visceral and groovy in a weird way. Campy too, with some tracks varying so wildly from part to part that you could almost take what she was doing here as like a joke or a novelty. However, the tracks on this EP are deadly serious, and were also a new bold step for pop music, as well as an aha moment for both Charlie and PC music creatively, because at this point I think Charlie became the perfect conduit for what they were trying to channel, this detailed and retro-futuristic reconstruction of 2000s pop music. That
it sounds like her producers like made her Grimes, like that's what it like. I don't know, like that's what it sounds. Sorry, not what I'm saying. What sounds like Fantano was trying to say. That she was like a successful Grimes.
It blurred the lines between satirical but also reverent. Meanwhile, Charlie's creative chemistry with AG and Sophie allowed her, I think...
She banks a lot on name-dropping, nostalgic samples, niche gay collabs, and really looked at working with producers who were on the edge of the next big sound in pop. Interesting.
To experiment more and mature as a songwriter, allowing her the freedom to drop zany bangers as well as sleek, powerful anthems, songs with...
See, like, maybe I'm like, and again, this is definitely a situation where I don't know enough about Charlie XCX. But I always like, I don't know, like, I feel like, how do I put this? Like, everybody name drops, like, you know, like Drake name drops, Kanye name drops. Like, I feel like name dropping doesn't get you as far as like people like you might think it does. You missed the Taylor Swift music trivia round on LB stream. I was there. I just couldn't I couldn't chat. I was back at my job.
Strange structures or very unlikely features. A lot of these ideas and concepts were more or less road tested on the mixtape she dropped back in 2017. And then in my
Yeah, I saw Stella win one. Who else won one? I feel like I saw, was it Plebowski? I don't know.
eyes, it was all fully realized on her excellent 2019 Charlie record. Now,
Yeah, I mean she's the best artist of all time. She's literally a top 2 artist and she's not 2. Best artist of all time. Everybody that's saying she's not number 1, you're a f***ing hater. Look at this image right now and tell me she's not number 1.
over the years, as Charlie has developed this new sound, her writing has offered more depth, has become more personal and intimate, especially on her pandemic album, How I'm Feeling Now. But I think Charlie's writing has grown more conceptual too, with her presentation as this posh English party girl on many of her songs has more or less become like this exaggerated character she plays into. However,
She looks so Indian to me now. Ever since I found out she was Indian, she just looks so Indian to me, which is a good thing, by the way. I'm happy about it. Like, I'm happy.
in a way, Charlie's instantly recognizable sound and unique place in the pop landscape became both a blessing and a curse at the dawn of the 2020s, because her style had gone from challenging to kind of definable with this newly minted hyper pop term that was
As people get older, their sound is going to change as well. She can't really keep that energy going forever. Catch a good example with that. Even she moved on. I think Charlie XCX always felt different to me. And maybe it was her fans. But, like, how do I put this? It's like, as your fans evolve, like, so does your music in a way. And I feel like, Charlie went from, you know, women liking your music to gay people liking your music to trans people liking her music. And, like I feel like the sound always like evolved with the group of people that liked her music. Does that make sense? That's how I like always felt like, and you could kind of see it in like the way she like who she name drops and like and who she has in her music videos. Like it always felt like she was trying to like keep progressing in a way.
being thrown onto everybody who sounded even vaguely like her or 100 Gex. And she quickly went on to strip away many of the hyper characteristics of her music on her next album, Crash, working with a totally new team of producers. And while I can't deny the record does feature some respectable hits, I have to ask, at what cost?
The longer you hold on to keeping an image, the more like it feels like you're putting it on rather than being authentic. Charlie has always felt authentic. I don't think that like she's ever had a moment where like people felt she was inauthentic, but maybe this has changed with Brat. Maybe Brat was too studio label for people to like it. I don't know.
Cost, because Crash did very measurably have quite a bit less character.
Seems like her fans feel like she isn't with this one. See, that's where things are getting like, this is where I feel like I'm getting gaslit, because like, if you know, I talked about Brat yesterday, but like I thought I don't want to say mid, but like my first listen through, I didn't think it was like that great. But like the reviews are coming out today and everybody's saying it's a 10 out of 10, it's a 9.6, it's a 9.8, it's a 9.5, and I'm just confused. I'm confused on what's going on.
At what cost?
And I'm not a big enough fan to know.
Crash did very measurably have quite a bit less character than anything Charlie had dropped in recent years at the time. Which brings us to today, Charlie's latest album cycle here, Brat, where I think she's genuinely reconnecting with the trajectory that has brought her to this point and made her a special artist to begin with. Even Easy Fun and A.G. Cook are back in the mix on the production side.
The word gaslit triggers me. Are you gaslighting me right now? What the
on
fuck?
a whole lot of tracks, numerous others too. There are even
James, you liked Netflix's adaptation of Avatar: The Last Airbender. No offense, stamp of approval, nothing to me.
to A.G. Cook on some of the lyrics to this record, as quite a bit of meta commentary is going on as well. You can really tell that Charlie is fully embracing the impact she's had on pop music in recent years and really using it as more of a strength than a weakness that she can be sort of pigeonholed into. And I think that's something she can do confidently because her and A.G. Cook aren't just merely trying to, revive some kind of hyperpop trend on this LP. I mean, for sure, Charlie's goal and focus is to give us this auto-tuned, bold, and hard-hitting homage to 2000s era pop music. But this time around, we have a refreshing focus on dance pop, on EDM from that era, on electropop from that era, club bangers generally, with a pretty aggressive edge, making this LP very worthy of the time.
I feel like the only thing that I genuinely liked when I heard the only thing that I genuinely liked when I heard the album was that it loops. And like, I know this is gonna get like really annoying, like from this perspective, but like part of what makes an album is like the story that you're telling in the album. And I feel like the album did a good job of telling a story, not even telling just a story, telling a cohesive story, and then also like kind of coming back and full circling, like, like full pun intended. But and so I think from like an album composition standpoint, I liked it a lot. But like, just again, I don't super like the genre of music, I guess, and so like I think that's where I fall off a little bit. IMO the post raving about Brad are people who are always going to like a Charlie album as long as she stuck to her brand of hyperpop, and fans that were just put on the hyperpop in the last few years and experiencing Charlie drop for the first time. I'm a die-hard NIN fan and have watched Trent grow from an angsty musician to a musical genius through his growth. He worked with Atticus is so amazing and has become some of the best soundtracks of all time. Growth is something not to be scared of and embrace. Now I hear you, I see you, but like I guess like something that I'm being careful of, like the older I get, is judging new sounds. The issue with Brat is that it didn't sound too much like a new sound to me. Yeah, music is supposed to evolve and stuff like that, but like artists can also age out, like if that makes sense. Like Eminem is like kind of a good example of an artist that like aged out, and Mac Miller is a good example of an artist that elevated a sound and grew with the sound. I think like what I worry is that like, so our brain like chemistries have like completely changed, like post TikTok, post Facebook, post Instagram. And I feel like when I was listening to like Kanye's music evolve and Eminem's music evolve and Jay-Z's music evolve, like growing up, like I was very like open to the idea of change. But that was when like the kids were consuming music, right? That's when the kids were the drivers of music. I feel like the people that drive music now are like maybe like young adults, maybe like the group is older. And I feel like those people are less forgiving to change. Like if Charlie XCX dropped like an album that was like a very different sound, like I feel like her audience would have been like very unforgiving. That said, they're also unforgiving if she drops the same sound. And so what I'm saying, I worry that like our collective brain chemistry has changed to the point where like we are not accepting of like new sounds, and the studios know it. Like, you get what I'm saying?
Title Brat, because this record is meant to be danced to and at points cried to, as I think Charlie...
Oh, thank you so much for the gifted sub, Jacob Johns.
Charlie's writing is more mature and thoughtful than it's ever been. For one, her party girl persona takes a bit of a dark turn, or at least gets deflated a bit, as she reveals that it's kind of a mask, and that she doesn't always feel like she's worthy of being there at the party, or that her and the party are a bit...
But again, that direction is mid. That direction is mid because it's like, okay, like we're all self-conscious. Who gives a
at odds. Meanwhile, I think about it all the time, sees Charlie musing about whether or not she can continue her career in the way she currently is, while also becoming a mother, which she very clearly has interest in at some point. Skipping ahead here, it's also kind of crazy how narratively this contrasts so hard with her going back full into party mode on the closing track, 365. Of course, there are notes of nostalgia on this album too, that is very much in line with tracks like 1999, most notably on Rewind. But
1999.
this song specifically is more about Charlie missing older aspects of her life before the fame. Between sticky choruses
That is weird. I'm pretty sure her and I are the same age.
on this track, she delivers her verses in this way that kind of comes off like a conflicted internal monologue, or like she's music.
And also, I'm gonna say something controversial. I think she if 19 is that when she's born? 1999. That's the year I was born. Oh, is she not? Is she not in 99? I was lied to. I don't. Why the fuck did she? Why did she name that song after being like she was 8 years old? Well, I don't know. That's crazy. I thought she was my age. I thought she was my age. Um. Either way. What was I gonna say? I'm gonna say also something controversial about like music writing in general. I think that like my age demographic collectively has a problem that collectively has a problem with feeling like we're having quarter life crises. I think that my age group right now is having this quarter life crisis, and I don't think that the age group above us had that. And I think that like, and again, and I mean this in the nicest way, but our quarter life crisis is so unserious. Like it's such an unserious thing. So like making songs about like, you know, worrying about aging when you're like 28, it doesn't come off as like genuine to me. It doesn't come off as genuine because it's like being ridiculous. I mean, being serious. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Like, I have a hard time with like basically like 26-year-olds that are just like covering their bodies in tattoos because of this quarter life crisis. They're buying motorcycles. They're getting on skateboards. Like it's valid and it's real, but it's like not serious in the way that like I give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like if somebody tells me like I feel like I picked the wrong career choice and it's like you feel like you wish you were an artist instead of like a programmer, like I'm sorry, but it's like be serious. You know, it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like be serious. Says the motherfucker fell off a skateboard. I have the most sympathy for it. I have the most sympathy for like the quarter life crisis. My issue is that I just don't think it's serious. I don't think it's like a serious thing. Like, you get what I'm saying? I'm saying quarter life crises don't exist. I feel like if a fucking 50-year-old made a song about a midlife crisis, I would care more because midlife crises like feel more serious to me. I don't know. It's like everybody wants to be new and unique and individual, and that's where like a lot of it's coming from. A lot of it's coming from like this drive to not even like party, but to look like you're partying. And I feel like that's a lot of the issues that I have with like stuff like Brat, where it's like it kind of like sounds like it doesn't sound like you're having the issue. It sounds like you're having the issue of people looking at you and having the issue. Like you know what I'm saying? Let people live their shit and nobody getting out of that shit alive. No, I don't think you hear what I'm saying. I'm just saying that like there's like a desperation to be like deep and have depth and have like be interesting and like and be an individual. And I feel like it's just unserious. I don't. And again, I'm sympathetic to it because I have the same issue. Like I want to be unique, interesting, and an individual. But like there is a level of like get over it that I'm at. And I think that like Charlie XCX is a brown girl, and so like I think for brown women and brown people in general, especially like, you know, when you are exposed to like the party culture and like individual culture that like the UK has, right? The Western world has. I think you feel it harder, but like for me, because like I was like I'm like more aware of like things, I feel like I'm okay with family. I'm okay with like being needed in that way. And I feel like a lot of brown people in general like kind of have an issue with like having to take care of their parents, having to grow up, having to be a mom, when like you really don't have to do any of that. Like you can like I don't know, and it's like played out. Like I feel like Charlie XCX talking about like wanting to be a mom, you know, in her 30s, like in her early 30s and stuff like that. Like I've had like deeper conversations with like 19-year-olds, my 19-year-old brown cousins. You know what I'm saying? Like I've had this conversation, and maybe that's my own like individual problem. You know when like when a guy like complains about like, you know, how hard it is to do X, Y, and Z, and then like women like respond like, yeah, I had that, or men like, you know, discover empathy after taking like ayahuasca or something like that, like when they're 35. and then women are like, I literally had this thought when I was 7. Like that's how I kind of feel about like a lot of the tones in this album. It's like I've like aged out. Oh, I've aged out of caring about it. Like you get what I'm saying? Like these are thoughts that I had when I was like 16. Like why would I just don't care anymore. Like I've moved on.
Musically journaling. There are lots of tracks on this thing too that deal in love, but these songs narratively feel vastly different from previous singles like Good Ones, for example. Tracks where historically Charlie can be seen running away from love or being a bit self-effacing and talking about how she's f***ing it all up. Instead, on songs such as the really infectious Talk to Me, as well as the very cinematic.
When you're expected to raise your literally older brothers, and so maybe you're discouraged to have children in the future. Yeah, I've had to like partially help out with my siblings, but like the thing is that like I like doing it. Like I don't know how to explain it. Like there was a point in my time where I was mad at the world, and I was like, why do I have to do it? Like that's so unfair. Like they get to party and they get to do this, and everybody else gets to do all these different things, and I have to. And like like I have to take care of everyone, and like at some point you just start liking to doing it. Like you just like this is your family, you love your family, like get the fuck over it. I don't know, like 31 is too old to be doing that still. Like I don't know.
Everything is romantic. Yeah, Charlie can be seen accepting love and doing quite a few shout-outs to her fiancé George. But yes, between this and numerous nods to wanting to have maybe a more normal life at some point.
Me finding out that she's 31 actually changes like a lot of the problems that I had with the album. I thought she was 25 like me, because like I was having a lot of these thoughts like a couple years ago.
Charlie really presents some interesting internal conflicts throughout this album, which we also hear as well on tracks where she is singing about things like friendship and sharing the limelight with other women. I mean, historically, Charlie is very pro-woman, especially when it comes to supporting other artists with her music through.
I just wish it wasn't the girls in the family that had to do it. Yeah, or it's on, and it sucks. It does suck, but again, like I'm not gonna ask how old you are, but like you're younger than 31. Like you know what I'm saying? Like the thoughts that you're having now is like you're having them in the time that you're supposed to have them, and maybe that's fine. And maybe like BRAT caters to your age demographic, but I feel like it doesn't cater to mine, and I'm just old.
Features through attention she can throw their way with her creativity. I mean, even look at the lyrics in the music video to one of the big singles from this record, 360. That is the Charlie that most fans know and love. By that same token, there are numerous songs on this record where she is being very unfiltered in just admitting how just insecure and plagued with fear she is sometimes. Their Sympathy is a Knife, where
everyone lives life differently. It's not a uniform thing. No, I understand that, but like from a messaging standpoint, I don't know. It just feels like it feels Taylor Swifty. Like I don't know how to say it like outside of that. Like Taylor Swift is a 33-year-old woman that complains about the exact same things. You know what I'm saying? And she's condemned for it, and I agree with those condemnations. Like I don't know. It just feels like, how the fuck have you not figured this out by now? You know what I'm saying?
He talks about just being so self-conscious around this other woman that she wishes for a gun to shoot herself with, which is context that some fans might even miss if they're mostly wrapped up in the roaring bass and fantastic string hits going on the dance beat. There's
good example. Some musicians and actors get stuck at ages due to never having time to thoughts about things being so busy and working. I don't feel sympathy for that. Nah, get the fuck out of here. I do not believe in like artists like brains falling apart because like their brains don't age because of the music they make. I don't know. Like you have to evolve. Like if that's what you want to do and that's your dream, like you have to evolve. Like as much as I hate some of the other artists like Kanye, as much as I like Mac Miller, as much as I like even Taylor, like a lot of saying they have no time for a childhood. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. You know who doesn't have time for a childhood? Fuckers who had to go to work at 12 and 13. I'm not saying that like they didn't have to do that, right? And I'm not saying that like people in like the garden had it harder. I'm just saying that like we all go through it. We're just in our like different ways. You know what I'm saying? So like pretending like you are the only person that is going through this, and I don't know. It just feels weird to me. It doesn't feel deep. She falls into the Taylor pattern of writing in paranoia and aging out and being replaced by other girls in her career. Exactly, Stella. That's better in what I'm trying to say. Is Taylor Swift's biggest, like, not biggest fear, but one of her fears that she has, and she talks about in like a lot of her songs. Even going back to Fearless, the like most famous song that I remember her like saying it is Superstar, and then the Lucky One, right? And then All of Midnights is like this concept of, you know, the next new young thing take your place. And when it released the first time, it was like, yeah, this hits. She's 24 and she's worried about being replaced. Like, that makes sense. That's when you should be having those fears. When you make $1.4 billion and you're worried about being replaced, it's like kind of like get over it, right? In Tortured to Post Department, when she's like singing about the same kind of tones, it's like get over it. I feel the same way with Charlie XCX. This is a critically acclaimed, famous, obviously taken care of, financially independent person complaining about being replaced. Like, yeah, you're 31, get over it. Like, yeah. OMG, stop yapping, Indian. Immortal Hunter, that's so crazy. First time chatter. Dude, I'm telling you, they're back. Here, take a second off. Take a second off and think about what you did.
There's also Girl So Confusing, where Charlie sings about the difficulties of letting people in and navigating the music industry among other people who she may have a difficult time connecting with, knowing how to...
She's not complaining. No, you're right. Maybe I'm being like too mean about the complaining thing. She is like just like voicing her opinions, but I don't know. It's like it just doesn't feel deep to me. Like it feels like she's talking about things that I was thinking about when I was 16.
Trust. The song seems to be very specifically about a single person who maybe she's been likened to by fans, but she doesn't fully see it. However, there's still a...
And also, by the way, I'm critiquing this harder because like this is like a 10 out of like it's being rated a 10, right? It's being rated as a perfect album. And so I'm like, that is a lot of the reason why I'm rating this like a little bit harder, is because like if people were saying it was a 7, I'd be like, yeah. Or an 8, I'd be like, yeah. And I probably wouldn't have so many critiques, but a 10, a perfect album?
Desire there on some level to make the friendship or the connection work. Then the song Von Dutch sees Charlie getting pretty aggressive and combative lyrically, specifically in regards to someone who doesn't seem to like her, maybe even is talking behind her back. And her response to that is essentially this big anthemic you here, where she's delivering some biting lyrics about how this person may actually be nothing if it weren't for some little dance they're doing. So yeah, there are these intense emotions. Be nothing if it weren't for some...
Why are you lying? You won't fuck unless you're famous. Do that little dance. Without it, you'd be nameless. It's so obvious I'm your number one. Who is she talking about? She's probably talking about Camilla.
Little dance they're doing.
Camilla.
So yeah, there are these intense emotional peaks all over the album, but the biggest bombshell of all of them has to be the song So I, which is very obviously a tribute to the late great producer and songwriter Sophie, who actually collaborated with Charlie quite a few times. So consistently, in fact, from an outside perspective, I don't think any fan of either Charlie or Sophie would have presumed anything of them and their connection other than something along the lines of, hey, they're collaborators, they have big respect for each other, they love each other, they're probably friends. Charlie, Sophie, Sophie, Charlie, name a more iconic duo. But what Charlie says on this track here actually tells a very different story and is quite revealing in a way that is actually pretty admirable, because the angle of the song is, yes, very sad, obviously, but it doesn't necessarily paint Charlie in the best light. And again, it's painfully sad and has made me reflect on the tone that tributes in art or whatever other medium often take. They usually end up being less about the tributed person and more about the tributor's love and adoration. Look how great I think this person is who we all think is great. And Charlie's song here does contain quite a bit of praise for Sophie. That's true, don't get me wrong. But a lot of the track is actually an admittance on Charlie's part, with her pretty much saying,
I read an interview somewhere that they weren't as close on a personal level, but close as collaborators.
I was friend. I kind of pushed this person away. I wish I didn't. And now I am plagued with an insurmountable amount of regret, which does make it a really tough listen, even if I think instrumentally and melodically it is one of the strongest showings here. Narratively and emotionally, there are quite a few cuts that I think are a bit lighter in tone, but they still contribute a great amount of quality to the record and are just generally fun and entertaining.
I just need to be in a better headspace to listen to this. I feel like I need to be like wine drunk by myself on a Friday night while all my friends are out posting videos at the club, to listen to Brat properly. I don't know. I feel like maybe I was too tired or something. I don't know. Something's wrong.
Entertaining to listen to. There's Club Classics, which I thought was an incredible single to the album. Also B2B, which is just some very straightforward, cut and dry, throwback, quality dance pop with a pretty clear hot and cold, back and forth, love on the rocks type narrative. There's also Apple, which is some very groovy throwback synth pop too, all about a situation and a dynamic that Charlie likens to a rotten apple. It's a situation she describes having to escape from.
No, James, I know it's good. I know the album is good. I just I don't agree with people saying, you have to understand, we're talking about a 10 out of 10 album.
By car, by plane. There's Mean Girls, which is a character portrait about exactly that, with a soaring and anthemic chorus, plus a piano break that the entire track builds off of from there. And then at the very end, there's 365, which is this version of the song 360 that kicks the record off, this mirrored remix as...
Is not a 10 out of 10. But that's what I'm saying. Well, when you... And not to be annoying, but and maybe this is my own trauma, coming out when people rate a Taylor album 10 out of 10 or a Kanye album 10 out of 10 or and I don't know or J. Cole, some rapper, Lil Uzi and Eternal Atake, like 10 out of 10 is I'm trying to, I need to justify it, right? And dude, I feel like I'm effing a lot today. You know what I'm also not doing? I need to run the ad break, bro. I'm 15 minutes late. I never saw the thing. Sorry. I have to run the ad break. I never saw the notification, and I'm late.
Reprise Big Finish with some acid bass mixed in there for good measure. So I love the way the record finishes, love the way it kicks off, and the flow from moment to moment generally is great. It's to the point where certain tracks in the lead up to the record that I thought were just kind of okay sound better being reinforced by the vibes and aesthetics of the surrounding songs on the album, because as I've heard the entire thing now many times over, I don't think there's a skip on it. The production generally goes hard as hell.
I feel that also. That's how I feel. I feel like there's not a skip on the album. But again, in the weirdest way, I just feel like listening to this album, and like Stella said, feels like nostalgia in a way. This feels like an album that I should have heard earlier. It feels more like this was an album that released in 2010 and I only heard it now. You get what I'm saying? It feels like an album that it should have been I missed. It feels like an album that I missed.
It is vibrant, it is colorful, it is very visceral, at times aggressive, but I could see some people kind of scratching their heads at the fact that it doesn't come across quite as futuristic as some of those hyperpop classics in recent years. But more importantly, what I think the production does on this album is that it serves the songs. It's sweet when it needs to be, it's dynamic when it needs to be, it's low-key or explosive when it needs to be, and there's still a very clear and consistent aesthetic focus on the entire album that centers around a certain era of pop and dance music. So I'm not necessarily disappointed with this record not being as ahead of the curve as a project.
It's like this album getting a 10 has spoiled the eyes of you all. It's good music. Elron, Charlie has, whenever an artist gets a 10 out of 10, it brings in their entire discography into question, because you have to ask, was Crash a 10 out of 10? Was it an 8 out of 10? If you like this album more and it's not a 10 out of 10, then what does that say about her old music? That's why I feel like 10 out of 10s can be super dangerous to an artist just in general, because BRAT, I don't think BRAT is our best album. And why is it acclaimed the best? You get what I'm saying?
project like Charlie, for example, especially considering that Charlie XCX copycats these days are abound. The impact that people like her and AG and Sophie have had on the modern era of pop music is not going anywhere anytime.
I think Brat will have the biggest impact, and I think that's like fair to say. I think I can already see some of the hyperpop girlies like copying like the style, the branding, the dress, the the album art, the album covers, the Twitter posts. Like I do see like it already being copied, but like, and so the impact of it will be massive. But yeah, the song's like, I don't know.
Time soon, and it's with that
and maybe I should have listened to it again before I watched this video, but like, I feel like I'm missing something. There's like something I'm like, feels empty. I don't know.
I love Brat, their album, and I think that this record proves that Charlie truly is a generational pop artist, which is why I'm feeling a strong 9 to a 10 on this.
You see, this is what I'm saying. This is an Anthony Fantano 10. Like, I feel like I'm missing something. I feel like I'm fucking missing something.
LP. Transition. Have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe, please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is...
That's my only, like... That's what's, like, freaking me out. Is because, like, to me, it wasn't a 10. It wasn't a 9. It might have... Maybe it was an 8. Like, an 8, I'm being generous. But maybe I just didn't listen to it enough. Maybe I didn't, like, think about it enough. You have to understand, like, Fantano's, like, given some, like, music, like, crazy ratings. What did he give the Beyonce? Didn't he give the Beyonce album, like, a 7.5 or something like that? Like, and, like, I just don't know. It feels weird. It feels weird to me. Like, he said that the Beyonce album sounded, like, unconfident, and that, like, Beyonce felt like, because Beyonce had to like include like different like country artists because she wasn't confident in the music that she was releasing. And then he doesn't say the same thing about this album. This music felt this album felt unconfident. But like that was obviously, it was like self-referential unconfident, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't know what the fuck is going on. I don't know what the fuck is going on when like is it just racism, like, or is it like, or is this album just that good and I'm just like too stupid to understand it? Is music for the girls, gays versus music for hyperpop fans? It's very moment and getting high praise because it is the thing. What did he rate? What did he rate Cowboy Carter? Let me pull it up. Fantano was always a Charlie stan. No, but like, how many times have I gotten into debates about like his reviews? Like, you know what I'm saying? How many times?
Hey everyone, rootin' tootin' here. The internet's busy per se, but it's mostly due to reasons that are more surface level or are more just kind of window dressing. Because if you kind of stripped away a lot of the unnecessary bits, I do think there is like another renaissance in the rough here. There just was not as much finesse, unfortunately, when it came to the execution, but still, great album. Loved the majority of the songs on the record. You could say it's Beyonce's most personal album, too, since Lemonade. And even if I'm not loving it as much as Renaissance...
Oh, is it an 8 out of 10?
I mean, it's really right there, and at this point, I'm still very much holding out hope, and I'm anticipating a total blowout on the third installment of this trilogy. And all of that is why I'm feeling a decent 8 on this.
Yeah, an 8. Like, sorry, I said 7.5. Like, and to me, like, between the two albums, and again, maybe I'm just, like, going crazy here. Like, I felt like it was maybe on par, if not a little worse, the Brat. Brat, by the way, like, in comparison. And so, like, the ratings that, like, every single reviewer gave Cowboy Carter, or the reviews that every single reviewer gave Taylor Swift's track or her album. See, Fantano gave Taylor's track, in my opinion, an honest like review at like, I think he gave her like a 4 or something like that. And that was a decent like take. But saying like this saying that the Charlie XCX song is a 10, it freaks me out. It just freaks me out because I feel like I'm missing something. Like, you get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? So yeah, we're gonna move on from this, but like, I'm just confused. I'm confused, and I need to listen to Brad again because a 10 rating from Fantano is insane. It's insane. And like in my head, it can only be racism. In my head, it can only be racism. Jason is out of touch from the girlies and the gays,